Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you are doing wonderfully well. And welcome back to part 2 of our Candid conversations, where we're discussing things pertaining to life, womanhood, and relationship with God. If you didn't check out the last episode, it is on my channel and I will put it up in the description box too. So today we're going to be talking about mentorship, accountability, and community. And I am going to be joined by the lovely Johannah here today from BSM Ministries. Johannah, do you want to introduce yourself, sis?
Hey everyone. Thank you for having me, Joanne. So my name's Johannah and I am the founder of Big Sister Ministries. And Joanne is also part of the ministries or ministries, I should say. I'm looking forward to letting you know a bit more about myself, how I started, just about the topics that we'll be discussing today. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah, so today's conversation is going to be about all things mentoring and accountability. I think since COVID and the pandemic, there's just been a huge shake between relationships and communities. And a lot of women have found themselves isolated. They found themselves by themselves and not planted in godly community. So it's really our prayer that by the end of this talk, you'll be encouraged to plant yourself, to find the value in community and having people around you who are godly, and also to maybe take steps that you can in order to plant yourself more better. So Joanne, I'm going to ask you to just tell us a bit more about yourself. How did you come to Christ? And also, how did your journey of coming to Christ inform Big Sister Ministries?
Sure. So I've been a Christian all my life, and I was born and raised in the church, and my parents are pastors. So I've never really not known God. I've always known who he is. And I just don't have a memory of not knowing who God was or who God is. But for a very long time, the majority of my life, I would say that, I didn't have a personal relationship with God. And I think it's just, many reasons. I think, being from a home where your parents are pastors, things are kind of done for you. It's just more of like a routine. And this is from my experience. And it's just something that, we did every Sunday and, in midweek as well. And it just became, part of my life, but I didn't have my own relationship with God. And I think I just wanted, it wasn't actually something that I was, comfortable speaking about. Like, people would always say things about pastors' children, or just like having that expectation that, okay, you're from this type of family, and you must not do no wrong, you must be perfect. And that really, I just wanted to be like normal. I just wanted to be like everyone else. I didn't want to stand out. I didn't want to like be different. I just wanted to conform so much, like when I was younger. So I just didn't want to like be defined by my family. I remember just going through like secondary school, just having like this internal conflicts and just wanting to just kind of being two different people, like one at school and then one at home as well. That was quite difficult. But I do actually remember in primary school, there was another girl in my school who her parents was pastors too. So it didn't feel like I was the only one. So like having her to like, even though we didn't really speak about it, but it was just nice to know that, she knows how I feel, even at that young age at primary school. But anyways, moving from secondary school and then into college. And, I think around college, I knew that, I was older, much wiser. I knew that I wanted to get closer to God. But then uni happened, and then it's just like, that kind of went out the window. I think being away from home and just having that much freedom and just kind of doing life by yourself really just made me drift from God. And it just meant that I didn't feel like I could actually come to him, because I had distanced myself from him for so long. Like I would in uni I had the mentality of like just having that perspective that, you know, if I work so hard, that's what's going to reap my fruits, rather than me trusting in God and God's favor and his grace and stuff. I didn't understand that. I didn't know that. But yeah, I can expand on that later. But in terms of even just like who I was hanging around with or what I was doing, like I just knew that who am I to now come to God? Or I thought that, who am I to come to God when I'm in time of need, when I've like ignored him for so long? So I feel like just the more I ignored him, I just didn't have a relationship with him at all. But then after I graduated, I took time out. It wasn't intentional time out, but I was broke, I was lonely, I was broken as well. And, you know, after graduation, I was looking for work, and it was so hard to find work. And I did struggle at uni as well. So it was just really difficult to feel confident in my portfolio and what I was submitting to the businesses and companies and stuff, because I didn't feel like I was worthy through my work. I didn't feel like I was worthy to be employed. I just had really poor self-esteem. That's a really dark place, actually. And it was during that year where, well, actually I graduated in 2016. So it was between 2016 and 2017 where like God really stripped me from everything. So, you know, having no job, being broke, being lonely, feeling like, you know, just kind of like isolated from everyone, especially when you don't have money, you can't really do much either. But I feel like all of those things being taken away from me really allowed me to snap out of it and just be like, you know, God, I need you. And, you know, I'm sorry that I wasn't, or I'm sorry that I was ignoring you all this time. And I just want to like reconnect with you. And that's when I actually started to have my own proper relationship with God. And, you know, like I recommitted my life to him, and, you know, just committed my, just everything that I do. So committed all the work that I was doing, and I had done all the job searching that I was seeking for, and just me also being like an active member of my church. Like for so long, I would just go to church and be so disconnected. I would just be so annoyed, feeling like, oh, I wish, you know, our church was bigger. I wish it was more engaging. Or I wish this, or I wish that. And I just wouldn't contribute in any way. I just would come and sit there and then go. But through this year of like, you know, God really stripping me away from everything, and me reconnecting with him, I really heard him speak to me more just about, you know, the role I play in church and the role that I can play in like other people's lives. So, for example, there's, you know, these two girls who I grew up with all my life, who is about, I think, 6 years younger than me. 6 years younger than me. And when they were going into uni, I had just left, and, you know, they started asking me questions about uni and stuff like that. And they don't have like big sisters, and they only have brothers. And to me, I felt like their big sister. So I would, you know, help them, support them in terms of their questions for uni and just stuff like that. And just knowing that what I went through at uni, I just felt like, you know, if I had that opportunity to speak to someone who's been through uni, I'm sure I wouldn't have made certain decisions that I made, or, you know, done certain things if I had an older person to support me. And it's not even like I don't have an older sister. I do have an older sister. I'm not actually the youngest. I have many older sisters, and one of my sisters live with me. And it's not like I don't have a relationship with her, but I just didn't feel like, I don't know, I just didn't feel comfortable in just speaking to her about certain things. But she's an amazing sister. Honestly, I love her. I really look up to. And I think that's actually what makes me, makes me not want to say too much, because I just feel like she's, you know, I feel like it's just like a little girl thing, like always looking up to your older sister and thinking that she's amazing, she does no wrong, like she's like the perfect child, and here's this little rebel who just who just doesn't listen or whatever. But yeah, in terms of the two girls from my church, that's actually how BSM started. So I thought, I'm sure there's other younger girls who might need this type of support. So they got their friends, group of their friends. I got a group of my friends who are older, that are like my age, Christian women as well, who, would want to mentor. And, that's how it started. We paired each other up, and we created a ministry called BSM Ministries. So it's just, that's what happened in that year, as well as my first event that I put together. I've never created an event alone. It wasn't alone, like I had support from my church, but as in all the logistics, all the planning, the content, the speakers, the this, the that. Like, I've never done that before, and I held this big event for my church to like relaunch it, because I just felt like we were doing a lot of the same things, but not reaching anywhere. And sometimes I feel like, if you're not happy where you are, then you have the skills and the talent to contribute and to make a change. If you want to see change, you can't just expect people to do it for you. So that was like my first time, like kind of putting myself out there. And that was a big event that happened in Brixton. And that year, 2017, was a very significant year, a very significant shift in my relationship with God, my mentality, how I see my faith. And it was a very significant year for me, as you can tell. But and then in terms of how that has sorry, can you repeat the other question, please?
Wow, no, I'm just so like in awe of everything you shared, and BSM is amazing. But the final part was more of how what you went through. And I think you've kind of answered it though, sis, how what you went through, what you experienced in your testimony influenced your purpose and how you started BSM.
Okay.
If you could expand on that a bit, that would be good.
Yeah. So I think in terms of noticing that younger girls might also need that support that I felt like I didn't have, or I didn't choose to seek at the time, and also me kind of just always having that leadership bone in my body. I've actually pretty much always been a leader, even in like school, in secondary school and primary school. Like it's just been a natural position that I kind of always fall in. I think through secondary school, I was more of a reluctant leader. I didn't really put myself out there, but I just kind of ended up doing it because people around me just didn't seem to want to pull their weight, or I just would think of, efficient ways to do things. And so I think even in terms of like leadership qualities, that also has informed my purpose of starting BSM. And it's strange because I would never think I would be like in ministry, if you know what I mean. Like, it's not something that I woke up always wanting to do, or thinking that that this is for me. Or like, I just remember even thinking of the name, and I didn't want to call it a ministry because I just didn't really want to call it a ministry. Like, it just felt so much pressure. And I just thought, what about big sisters community or big sister group? I just felt like I wasn't being obedient. I felt like it was supposed to be called that. And if it was called something else as well, it might have been like obviously names have that hold weight. Like, it can also inform what you do as well. So if I called it something else, it might have turned into something else and not focused on on ministry and serving God, and connecting people with their faith, and growing in that capacity. So yeah, like I embraced it, and put myself out there, and yeah, I think just incorporating that into the ministry and what I do, and yeah. So I guess to just even explain a bit more about what Big Sister Ministries is, it's a ministry that aims to support young women with their walk in Christ, and it's not based on any denomination or any type of specific church, but the common denominator is that we are all God-fearing women of God who are striving to be more like Christ, and who value mentorship and want to support or be supported through their journey. So it's a bespoke mentoring scheme as well, because it's not, everyone doesn't do the same type of mentoring form or style. It's very much tailored to the mentee, who we call little sisters, and also the mentor, which you obviously call big sisters. So yeah, it's very much tailored to what you need and what you want to get out of it. And yeah, like I said, it started from seeing the difficulty that some girls might face as they go into university, and seeing how someone who has gone through it can support them on that journey. So yeah, we started in 2017, and we're proud of our group of committed mentors and mentees that, like I said, we call Big and Little Sisters. And we've got an amazing committee team as well. And we do, even though predominantly we are a mentoring ministry, we do quarterly events as well, which we open up to other women who aren't part of the ministry, but who can relate to the topics that we're discussing. So we do that on a quarterly basis. And we just recently started a fellowship as well, internally, which is monthly, to connect with each other, to grow, add value in using the community that we have as well. So yeah, that's us in a nutshell.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing, sis. And also your testimony as well. I can relate a lot to the loneliness and being stripped of everything, because university is a time where you almost leave your family, leave what you knew, and venture somewhere else, especially if you pick a city that's not your home city. So having that community taken away from you, and then almost having to rebuild, finding God through that, and finding faith as well, it kind of showed you your need for needing people around you who can support you, who can uplift you and uphold you. And I think that's really inspiring. And the second thing that you shared as well about the name of the ministry, I think it's quite key what you call things. I mean, names are important to God, and you really led that ministry, and you are leading it so well. I mean, it's amazing, and I love it. And it took me back to the Bible study that we just had on Esther with leadership, and how she was called, and Mordecai said, how do you know if you were not called to such a time as this? And it's almost like you took the call that God had placed upon you in that season through your experiences to build a community. So yeah, Johannah's amazing, and she knows a lot about community. And that kind of leads us nicely into the first section of this discussion. So we're going to be talking firstly about community, then we'll go on to accountability and mentorship. So you shared about this a little bit, but how did you come to specifically understanding of the importance of community and accountability and mentorship?
Yeah, so I think I came to the understanding of it by realizing its absence in my life. So, the gift of hindsight, looking back and thinking, I feel like I really could have benefited from having a godly community, or having someone to support me, or having someone to support me, or someone who I can speak to about certain issues, and someone who can hold me accountable. And I feel like sometimes, when you go through different seasons, you just have you have blind spots. You might not necessarily know that that's something that you're lacking, but through experience you can look back and be like, I could have definitely needed that. And it's never too late. Like sometimes you've already passed that season. So obviously I've already gone through undergrad. I've actually gone through postgrad as well, which was a completely different experience from undergrad. But yeah, just noticing that, you know, I was lacking in that area. So that's how I personally come to understand it. But I think just understanding that it's, you know, it's not that I didn't have these people around me. Like, I've always had other people to support me, and my, you know, amazing parents and siblings. And like I said, I've grown up in the church, and yeah, so it's not like they were absent. So my situation is that I just didn't look to embrace that or to seek that for myself. You know, God always wants us to be in community.
Definitely.
He designed us for relationships, and to also have a relationship with him. And I think that is obviously translated in you know, our lives, and how, when, you know, we're not supposed to go through life alone, and you know, we can make use of the people and the resources around us, to just, yeah, to improve our walk with God, essentially.
Yeah.
And there's a Bible verse, which is John 6:35, and it basically says that Jesus replied, "I am the bread of the life. The one who comes to me will never be hungry, and the one who believes in me will never be thirsty, but that one will be spiritually sustained." And that verse just literally, I don't know, it just speaks so much to me, because even when I was lost and I felt like, you know, there was something missing and lacking in my life, that, you know, through God, he will always sustain us. That we'll never be thirsty, we'll never be hungry, because he will always feed us and provide for us. And we can gain that through community as well. And but obviously not saying that our own relationship with God isn't important. So yeah, just even understanding that verse and put it in perspective with my life was yeah, just revealed to me the importance of community, not only for myself but for other people as well. And I think that's how I noticed it and wanted to make a change, and started BSM as well.
What you said about it's not good for man to be alone, I think that's key. And understanding that the absence of it made you realize that you needed it so much more. I think it's important for us almost to sometimes walk through those seasons where it's a bit dry, it's a bit lonely, it's a bit, no one is really around, to understand the value in the things that God set up for us. And through that, you then went to seek out community, and you went to understand why you needed to grow as a Christian, especially off the back of coming from university, graduating, and having almost been displaced with no job, no finances, no people. It's like you long for that. And that's a deep, deep desire that you have. So what do you think are some of the risks for a woman who doesn't plant herself in community? Like, because some people will say, nah, I can walk this thing out with God by myself. Me and my Bible, that's it. I don't need others, trust no one. What would your response to be with someone who has kind of developed that mindset?
Yeah, I think that you know, that mindset is very limiting. I think it isolates you from you know, a community or people who are on the same journey as you, and you know, not having people to like check in with you or pray with you about certain decisions or support you, just in a relationship like a friendship, and keeping you accountable to, you know, your commitments to God. I think not having that is yeah, it's very risky, because it can basically expose you to, you know, the influence of the world, and you know, pop culture, and what celebrities are doing, or what he and she is doing on Instagram, or just, you know, just getting really indulged in the world. And you know, we are not of the world. We, you know, we belong to God within Christ, and we are not here. This is not like our home. Like our home is with Christ eternally in heaven, and this is just like a transitional stage. So everything that goes on here is just literally, you know, what we have to navigate through our walk with Christ. But it shouldn't be something that that we are like part of, if you get what I mean. So I think that's a big risk of not having a community, because like you might think that you know certain things, and until you're put in that season and you're really tested and you're like, okay, I'm going through it, I need some support, I need God to help me, I need God to speak through certain people to encourage me, I need people to intercede on my behalf, I need people to encourage me, to pick me up when I'm on the edge. Do you get it? Like, and I feel like if you don't put yourself in these godly communities, then you're really, really missing out on those essential relationships.
Yeah, 100%. I like what you said about being influenced by the world. I've seen this analogy mentioned a couple of times. Obviously, a pack of lions hunting is a lot stronger than a lone lion hunting. And I think as much as sometimes God can call us into seasons of solitude, and he can call us into the wilderness, and he can call us to be alone and to really understand his face, he also plants us in community. At the end of the day, Christ is the head of the church and we are his body. And Paul speaks a lot about this as well in the New Testament, saying that we all need each other. We all need each other. The ear cannot say to the leg, I have no use of you, or the head cannot say to the arm, I have no use of you. We all need each other. And so the danger when we fail to plant ourselves, like you said, sis, is we can be influenced by the world. We can lose our faith. We can become almost stuck in ruts of sin or shame or guilt, not renewing our mind, and also not having those people to uphold you and uplift you when you're going through those trials. So those are huge dangers.
To just add on that, like what you said about you know, having time of solitude to be by yourself with God is also important. And it's definitely important because, you know, in the Bible we see Jesus departing from his disciples to have his quiet time and to pray with God alone. Yes. But I think with that community, they can, you know, you might not know that without, you know, a community to support you, to be like, yeah, you know, this is important too. You know, some people, I've heard this phrase that that you're the, I can't remember it exactly, but as in like you might be the only Bible some people ever read or come across. So in this context, it's like, you know, you might not have come across, you know, that knowledge of understanding that, you know, having your own personal quiet time with God and your own relationship with God is paramount. But you know, you might have heard that through someone in a godly community, whether it's at your church, your fellowship, or whatever you. So I think that is important to to also mention as well, that your relationship with God is definitely important, but there's still so much value with godly communities too.
So it's like there's a balance that needs to be struck. There's a balance between periods of solitude and having a real relationship with God, something that you can own, something that you know is real regardless, but also planting yourself in community, serving other people, being served, using your gifts, growing, and all of the things that come with that. So for the woman who maybe since the pandemic has started has found herself almost displaced. I mean, so many of my sisters have had churches closing, church communities moving. And for a lot of people, church, in quote, is the only godly community they found themselves planted in. How would you say a woman who finds herself desiring godly community can actually reach out and make those practical steps?
Yeah, that's a brilliant question. I would actually, you know, encourage them to start with one person. I think, you know, sometimes it might be a bit overwhelming finding a whole established community with a lot of people that, you know, and then you're coming in by yourself, not knowing anyone and stuff like that. So I think starting with one person would be a great place to start. So seeking a friend who is also a Christian, or even someone who might not necessarily be a friend, but knowing that, you know, they're Christian, they have a godly community, I can ask them and see if I can attend one of them or be part of one of them, and just, you know, start from there. I think, you know, church is important, and that is, I think, a good place to start, to have somewhere that you can attend on a regular basis, and a place where you can feel comfortable in and know that, you know, I feel that I can grow here, and I can serve here, and for a long period of time as well. So I think, you know, having that goal to at least find a church first would be great as well. So yeah, apart from that, I think there's, you know, we're in the social media age, so looking through Instagram and Twitter. I don't use TikTok, but apparently everything is on TikTok now, and I've heard, you know, people older than me who, you know, use it for so much and find so much valuable resources. So you know, that could be a way to find something that you think you can be a part of. So, you know, on Instagram, there's different forms of communities. So not only churches, but, you know, fellowships and Bible study groups and women's groups and, you know, mentoring ministries like BSM. So they are available, and they usually are also on social media, which would be a good way to seek them. So you know, knowing like where they're based, and, you know, in this day and age, if they have online meetups and stuff, would be good to note down too. And for example, if you're in university, they tend to have, you know, Christian societies and Christian unions at university. I've been to 2 universities, and they both had them, and I'm sure just from like knowing other people who go to other universities, it seems like it's a common thing. Yeah. So that would be something to also look into, especially like, you know, if you're starting out in your first year, there'll be other people who are also new, so you won't be the only one as well.
Definitely.
I think being really clear about the type of godly community that you want and what you need is important, because if you want to make that important commitment of committing to somewhere for a long term, and, you know, growing and serving, you also need to ask yourself what exactly, you know, the type of community you want to get into. And you know, some people might want or feel more comfortable in a women's godly community, or some people might feel like they want you know, a few or older people that with experience, or they want to seek a church which is, you know, really Bible focused and, you know, really like into the word. Not that churches don't do that, but you know,
you'd be surprised, you know, you would be surprised.
No, that's true, that is true. So yeah, just kind of understanding how you want to grow, how you want to serve, the type of people that you feel like you need to be around, and just having that in your mind, I think will be easier to to kind of filter out the ones that are for you, not for you. And also don't feel that you can't, you know, move around, like, you know, try different places, try different things. What you might think you're comfortable in might actually not be where God wants you to be. You might end up being somewhere that you didn't even expect, but God has led you there from you know, different people or different circumstances, you know, even though you had your own plan. So just being open and aware of those things as well. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Know what you're looking for in godly community is the key here. You need to be able to discern what is a community that will encourage you to grow and thrive as a Christian woman, and also meet the needs that you have while you're still able to serve and use your spiritual gifts. And if you have that in your mind and you've kind of got that firmly in your heart, when you're trying to look through different opportunities on Instagram or Facebook or even churches, when the world opens up again, you'll be able to find somewhere you can commit to. And I think commitment's a good good thing to kind of mention, because we live in an age where being committed or putting yourself to say, you know what, I'm going to stick out in this ministry, or I'm going to stay with this church, it's rare to find. And it's like a balance that needs to be struck again, with being open to trying multiple different things if you're not finding what you're looking for, but at the same time, not being a commitment phobe and never planting yourself, never investing yourself, never giving, never serving. Have you ever struggled with that before, or have advice for someone who may be struggling with commitment issues?
Yeah, I think it takes courage. I think, you know, it takes courage. Yeah, I think being able to just trust in God, and even if it feels like, you know, this isn't like you're not, I don't know, that you don't really see where it's going, or it might not be for you, or sometimes being patient and seeing it through can also, grow the fruits that you would want to see, or, expect as well. So I think just, yeah, trusting in God, and just realizing that, at the end of the day, you're serving for him, and being committed shows that, that you're in it for the long haul, and, it doesn't mean that any little thing that you just give up. And there is a Bible verse that says, do not give up, because you will eventually reap what you sow. I can't remember where it's from, but
yeah,
that is something that God encourages us to do. And so I think the opposite of commitment is giving up and being flaky and not showing up. And I think that's just, you're just losing out on blessings doing that, I think. So I would really encourage commitment to to the places that you eventually settle in, and trust and expect, and also contribute to that place, so you can get the benefits from it. You can reap what you came there for, and not just expect, it to, I don't know, just fall into your lap sort of thing. So yeah, that's how I would respond to that.
Yeah, courage and patience is key. And there's been so many times where I have had to exercise those two things. Be courageous. If you go to a church, you may not know everything about the leadership, or everything about the doctrine, or everything about the people there. But saying, you know what, I am going to take that step and trust God to lead my feet is what will help you. And then being patient, because sometimes we expect godly communities to be perfect. And oftentimes they're not. I mean, we are imperfect. I am imperfect. I have my shortcomings. And so just because I'm now in a church community, it doesn't mean that all the people there are going to be perfect. They're going to have their own sin, their own flaws. And it's not for us to judge and criticize, but it's for us to encourage and rebuke and exalt and lift up those brothers and sisters who are struggling. Yeah. So that's really key. So now we're going to go on and talk a little bit about mentorship. So we've discussed community, we said why it's important, what it looks like, and how you can try and plug yourself if you find yourself a bit isolated. And you've shared with us a bit about BSM, which is amazing. I've loved it. I've been blessed by it. I've been serving in it. And we're going to talk about the issue of mentorship and how those mentorship relationships can be really valuable for young women who are trying to grow in their faith. So you've had a lot of experience mentoring different girls and also being mentored. So what would you say are some of the key components of a healthy mentoring relationship? Like on a practical level, what does a healthy mentoring relationship look like?
Yeah, that is a really good question. I have, quite a few points that I would say. So one being or having trust and transparency. And I think those two go hand in hand, because trust is needed for you to be able to open up with your mentor, to discuss anything, basically. And in addition to that, transparency is key, as it shows that you don't have to, ask, or you don't have to be asked before you share something. being transparent enough to do that without being probed. And I think that shows that you can trust the person, that you don't need to hold back, or there's not this wall up that is the wall of questions. Like this wall is questions. If you ask me, then I might share. If not, I think, that wall is just non-existent when it's transparent, because you can see through it. Also, authenticity, being real and not being fake or pretending to be something that you're not, or not genuine with your intentions. I think that's also important, because that can just get really confusing as well. I think it defeats the purpose of mentoring if you're not being real. If you're just talking about this fictional person who's supposed to be you, or vice versa, it's just like, who are you mentoring? Are you mentoring the fictional person, or are you mentoring the person who needs to be mentored? So being real, being authentic is definitely important. And it just shows that, we're all human at the end of the day. Like, we've all fallen short, we'll all continue to fall short, but it's all about, how we learn from our mistakes, how we encourage each other from our mistakes, and how, hopefully me sharing a mistake can, stop you from making the same mistake as well. And if I'm not honest and authentic about that, then, you're stopping that from happening too. That's important. Commitment, like you mentioned before, it does show that you are dedicated to the relationship, and then you respect and value each other's time, because the commitment is two-sided. It's not just for the mentee. The mentor is investing time and an effort to support you, and it might, if you're uncommitted, it could feel like quite discouraging as well. If it just feels like it's a waste of time, and you're not really, you're not on the same page. So I think establishing that you're both committed to it, and I think it just allows it to flourish better, knowing that, you both know what you want from it, and you're gonna, you commit to doing it together. Okay, that's another one. Accountability, which we'll, elaborate more in a bit. Also have that that comfortability to, rebuke you if you have been doing something that you're not supposed to do. Like, I think that also ties in with trust, because, it's not a thing where you should feel or take it personally, like they're doing it out of love, and having that is a mature level of mentorship. It's not just about, catching up or seeing how your day's been, but getting into the deeper things where, if you don't check them, who else will? So that's another thing. And I always say in mentoring that it should be a two-way process. And I feel like it's more fruitful for both parties if that is the case. Obviously, there's different types of mentorship where, if it's, for example, a professional mentoring relationship, and it's quite one-sided, quite top-down, and it could be more like a coaching relationship. But I think mentoring should be two-sided. It might not be two-sided in terms of like the mentee is now also mentoring the mentor, but as in like he should be open to learn from the mentee, and to have different insights, and the mentee might teach them things about themselves that they might not even know, but having to be open to experiencing that, and to even discuss that, and be open to communicate that with their mentee. I think that's important as well, and I feel like there's a lot of value for both sides when that happens as well.
Yeah, those are all key components that you've listed: trust, transparency, authenticity. I mean, the nature of a mentoring relationship is somebody is feeding or pouring into another, and another person is willingly accepting and receiving that so that they can grow spiritually. And in the context of a godly mentoring relationship, the foundation of that has to be spiritual. It has to be, okay, we are partnering together in order to fulfill God's will in this area of our lives. We are partnering together because maybe we are on similar paths, or maybe I've walked on a path that you've walked on, and I can give you counsel and advice. I can help you in that aspect, and you're willing to listen and to hear. And also with that comes the responsibility of, okay, I should be able to correct you. I should be able to rebuke you. And that should be the case. I mean, I think that should be the case for all Christian relationships, but more so top down, like you said, there should be this expectation that almost someone is going to be able to see into the blind spots that I may have, see into the things that I can't see in my own life. And I'm going to be actually willing and able to receive that from them.
Yeah, no, definitely. And that's the thing, in the context of specifically a Christian mentoring relationship, God being its foundation will ultimately inform or influence all the other things that I mentioned in terms of, you know, authenticity and your commitment and having trust and transparency. And, you know, I think love is weaved into it because you know, through patience and compassion and being able to relate to another human on a human level is really important for that, connection too. So I think God being at its foundation and should inform the advice that you give, the support that you give, the prayers that you pray for each other and with each other. I think that's important, to pray with each other as well as for each other, and committing things into God's hands, because you know, some things mentors don't have all the answers. At the end of the day, God is our, you know, our ultimate mentor. He's our father, he's our provider, he's our everything. And as mentors, we are you know, we are God's vessels. He speaks through us, but you know, we don't know everything. And at the end of the day, going back to what we said about community and having that relationship with God and your own relationship that you can count on and rely on and trust in, and which flourishes as well, is important. And I think understanding that as a mentor and not feeling like you're taking place of God in any way is, you know, a real responsibility of the mentor too. And for the mentees to understand and to remember that, you know, God at the end of the day is our ultimate provider. And if you know, for example, you might think the mentor said something that's a bit off, you need to have that discernment to be able to be like, I'm not sure about that. Let me speak to God about it. Let me, you know, see what God's word says about it, and stuff like that. So having that discernment and wisdom, which you gain from God, that you continuously ask for as well, is also important to add in this whole umbrella of mentoring.
And that also links in with what we were saying before about being able to not only be in community, but being able to stand as a Christian by yourself, having that relationship with God. And that really ties in nicely with accountability, which we're going to come on to. But you mentioned something great in that we need to remember God is our ultimate mentor. God is the one that ultimately teaches us. He's the one that leads us. As much as he's provided us with amazing people, teachers, leaders, pastors, elders to sow into us and feed us, ultimately we're following the Great Shepherd. And as long as our mentor is following the Great Shepherd, we can continue following them. But in the event that they start doing higgy haga, they go somewhere else, or they fall away, they start trying to teach something dodgy, then we have to be discerning, like you said, sis, and actually say, no, this is what God says, and I'm going to stand on his word. So that's powerful. That's really powerful. So yeah, we talked a bit about mentoring, and I think we both come more so from an experience of having been mentors to little sisters and top down, feeding and sowing. But also I know that I've been greatly blessed by the few mentors God has sent me in my own life. Would you want to tell us about a mentor that you've had in your life that you admire? And also, how has that informed the way you mentor your little sisters and the way you approach building relationships with those who are trying to grow spiritually?
So I've actually had, quite a few mentors in my life, some official with, the title, some unofficial. And one of my unofficial mentors who, I call my big sister, and she's someone who I really admire, is someone called Julia. And I've known her, I believe, all my life. I don't know. Well, a long, long time. Like, I can't remember a time where I didn't know her. So she's about, I think probably about 9 or 8 years older than me. And I also knew her from church. Now, goes to a different church with her husband, who is also a pastor. So, but yeah, in terms of Julia, what I admire about her is her authenticity, and how true she is to herself and to the will of God. And she's not about people pleasing at all. So, well, that makes it sound really, really rude, but that's not my point. As in, like, she doesn't do things for people. Like, that even sounds rude as well. But as in, like, she does do things for people. She's caring. She's very compassionate, and very generous. So she does do things for people. But as in, like, if she knows that God has spoken and wants her to do this, wants her to do that, she will be obedient to that. And if that means she will disappoint you, that just, that's just an unfortunate aftermath of it, basically. But an example of her being true to herself and being authentic is that, one of her events that she was speaking at, which was a BSM event, she had she had called me on the day, like a couple hours before the event, having to cancel being a speaker, about a couple hours before. And, it really threw me off. I wasn't expecting it. But, she had very good reason to. And, there were things that, that was going on at home, that just meant that she wasn't in the right spirit to be able to pour into our audience and really speak from a place that is authentic to Christ and what she really wanted, how she really wanted to deliver. She just wasn't in that spirit to do that. And instead of trying to please me and to do it anyway, when she wasn't all there, would be like a disservice to her as a minister as well, to just do that and settle for a half-hearted, or just like just her not being present, but her being present, if you know what I mean. And I really respected her as she, when she did that. Like, she knew how much this event meant to me. She knew how much, how hard we worked to put it together. She knew all these things, and it's not like she didn't care. It's just because that at the end of the day, she knows that this was something that she really values, in terms of her being able to be at her best, to glorify God. And it just, she knew in her spirit that it just wasn't the right time. And that's her pleasing God over her pleasing me. And at the end of the day, that is what we need to strive for. So I just really respected her even more, like when she did that. And I think it spoke to me more, because I kind of deal with like people pleasing complexes, because I tend to do the most to like please people, even if it means that it's really inconvenient for me, or it's just, like, I'm just not even, I don't really want to do it, or like I just feel like, somebody asked me to do this, I need to like, I need to honor them, I need to, they could have asked anybody else, but they asked me, but I'm not really feeling it, but like, I'll just justify it over, like, overthink it, and just be like, you know what, let me just do it, even though in my spirit I know it's not something I should do, or that I have to do, and I shouldn't have to feel pressured into doing something that that I don't want to do, especially if it's not just because I don't want to do it, but especially if it's something that just doesn't align with God's will, and doesn't mean that, just because it's a Christian-based thing, it necessarily has to align with what God wants you to do in that moment, in that season. And that doesn't mean that the Christian-related thing is not good or It just might not be the right time for that person, and we have to be obedient to God for that. So I think, just in terms of how she's impacted my life, and being able to tell me things to improve and to correct me, and not sugarcoat things, and just having that person that I know can just be honest with me. Like, I feel like there's some people that that person will tell me straight, or they won't hide about it, or and she's definitely supported me in that sense. And she's also encouraged me to not take all the load on myself. And as a ministry, like I said, we've been around since 2017, and like the first for the first 2.5, 3 years, I would do a lot of things by myself. And she just made me realize my blind spots, that you have a community here, and you can delegate different roles, and I'm sure they'll be more than happy to contribute and to help, and just being able to do that. And as a result, we've got a community team that's growing, and I don't always have to do everything. So just her being there to say that has definitely impacted my life. And as you can tell, there's definitely qualities that she has that I really admire about her character.
That's beautiful. I think it's wonderful when we can have people above us or over us who can point us to impeccable character. That's something that's really lacking in our day and age. People don't really care about their character. They care more about how they look. They care about the external. But being mindful of the work within that God is trying to do, and seeing people actually living that out, has impacted you, and it's impacted me as well. And she just showed a mark of integrity. I think that's kind of summing up what she showed you, because she said, okay, I could lie, or I could try and please Johannah, or I could make up an excuse, but no, I'm going to be real with her. She may not appreciate it at the time, but I'm going to be real with her. And she told you the truth. Like, I can't do this thing. I'm really sorry. It may be last minute, but I'm really sorry. I can't do it. Blah, 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 blah. And I think the mark of integrity is something that we should all be striving to build in our mentees and as mentors, because being someone who can keep your word, or being someone who is true to themselves and authentic, it makes people respect you, and it makes people honor you as well. So I love that. I mean, I've never met her before, but she sounds like a wonderful woman of God. And I'm really glad she's had that impact in you. And also you seeing how she doesn't strive to please man, and you actually going through that. It shows how intentional God was in pairing you up in life, because she's almost walking in what you desire to walk in the future.
Definitely, 100%.
So that's really powerful. So in terms of your experience mentoring others, what would you say it has helped you with in terms of your spiritual growth?
Mentoring has definitely allowed me to grow spiritually, has matured me so much, especially it being that it's just challenged me to practice what I preach and stuff. I think just having that and knowing that if you're supporting a mentee about certain situations, it just allows you to reflect on your own life and be like, are these also areas that I need to change and improve? And I need to check myself in this area, or maybe I need to do this in my life as well. So it definitely does have a reflective like stance when you mentor, because I think you're continuously also looking back at yourself, and as a result it enables you to mature spiritually, because you're also doing the same in terms of the advice, the spiritual advice that you're giving as well. Another thing is that, you know, the content that I put online on our Instagram, and also through our events, is also feeding me as much as I hope is feeding others. You know, just creating content, whether it's through social media or through events, or, you know, if you are a blogger or YouTuber like yourself, I'm sure when you create content, and, you know, you might even look back at some of the videos and just like, oh wow, like that really speaks to me.
Yes.
In this season, or that's such a good reminder. And yes, I think that definitely does continue to mature me on a continuous basis, especially as we actually continuously commit to doing quarterly events. Like we kind of said that from the beginning, and, you know, we've actually been doing that. So it's just like knowing and expecting that you're continuously doing this, you know, just helps along the continuous growth and maturing in your spiritual walk. And yeah, it's also just allowed me to get deeper in my word as I mentor, because some of the, you know, resources that I use with my mentees is that, you know, we do Bible plans together, devotionals, and we read books together, and Bible study and stuff. So as much as it's helping them, it's also helping me. So yeah, I think it's definitely a two-way process. So yeah.
And it's like what you were mentioning earlier about being a mentor and leading people to Christ. I think when you are leading people to Christ, you yourself, you're following Christ. So the better you are at following Christ, the better it is you are going to be at leading. And that in itself is a journey to sanctify and to purify you and to refine you as well. And I think that should be the goal for us as Christians. We should kind of aim to have people that we are leading in the faith, have people that we are ushering more into the presence of God, have people that we are sowing into, no matter how, you know, immature or how early it is you have become a Christian. I think we all have that call to be witnesses, to be mentors, to disciple. I guess that's, in essence, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about discipleship. Yeah, we're talking about discipleship. We're talking about bringing people under our wings and allowing them to learn from our mistakes, allowing them to also show us more of our own flaws, and cause all of us to kind of grow in our walk to becoming more like Jesus. So that's wonderful. Do you have any more things to say on the topic of mentorship before we move on to talk about accountability?
Yeah, I just think that in terms of mentorship, that it's just something that I think everyone should consider, whether it's them mentoring or being mentored. I think it's something that everyone should consider, and there's so much value in it. And I think just having that one-to-one basis is just so valuable. Like I've had so many fruitful mentorship relationships, and that's why I'm so passionate about mentoring. And yeah, I just think it will, you know, enlighten you, edify you, and encourage you. And, you know, you might, as a mentee, might even feel like, you know, being a mentor in the future as well. So I think it's definitely something to consider for everyone.
So rich. Thank you for sharing everything you have. I'm edified, and it's been really a blessing to just hear those truths echoed again into my own ears. So let's talk about accountability. This is a heavy word. It's loaded. So before we go into it, what does it mean from your perspective to be accountable?
What it means to me is that, you know, that you are, you know, responsible and required and expected to kind of like justify your decisions to somebody else, and that is for the purpose of you know, integrity and growth and honesty as well. But I think, like I mentioned before, you know, just how like mentoring has different takes different forms. I think accountability also has different forms too. So, you know, in a professional setting, it can be through your work and through your responsibilities, and you know, you can have like a default or accountability through you know, your parents or older siblings, or it can be more intentional through mentoring and through your friendships, and through defined accountability partners, because that's a thing as well.
Yeah, I agree with you, Johannah. It's also about like being responsible. and taking stock. Like, to give an account, I always kind of make the analogy of you're like a banker and you have investments or shares in your account, and you have to tell someone, look, this is what is in my account. And it's a private matter. It's something that can be quite personal. It can be quite deep. But to be accountable means to say, you know what, whatever I've got hidden in that account, the person who I am accountable to needs to know about it. And I have to take responsibility for that. Even if maybe there's something in the account that shouldn't be there, I need to be responsible for that. So yeah, it's a key thing. So why is it important? Why be accountable, and who are you accountable to in your own life?
Yeah, so accountability is definitely important for for you to kind of be on the right track with what you said you were going to do and what you need to do. So, you know, in a Christian context, there's, you know, many things that God would want us to do, what God is pleased by and what God isn't pleased by. And, you know, we all fall short, and that is, you know, that's just a consequence of us being human, but we should still strive to be like Christ. And you know, when those times come where we do fall short, we are tempted or whatever, it's important that we can have that accountability with someone that we can be honest to, and you know, share what's on our heart, and then for them to be able to, you know, support us, correct us, pray for us, intercede. And yes, I think that is definitely you know, some of the benefits of accountability. And in terms of, you know, who I'm accountable to in my life, when I was thinking about it, I was just like, this is an interesting question. But as of recently, I've actually, you know, formed an accountability partner, one of my really good friends, and it's based on our relationship. So one of my other mentors suggested that I should seek that out in one of my friends, because as she was engaged, as in my mentor, when she was engaged, she had an accountability partner for her, and she said that it really blessed her. It was really necessary for her, and as a younger girl, she, you know, she feels like it will be beneficial for me too. So that's how I even thought of it. It wasn't something that came to me, or that I thought, oh yeah, let me seek that out. But you know, the benefits of having a mentor, someone who was able to notice a blind spot and suggest something that I reflected on, and also realized the benefits of that, and you know, applying that to my life. So yeah, now I've got a mentor. Now I've got an accountability partner who is also one of my good friends. So we do have that relationship already, that we trust each other, we can be accountable, we can be transparent as well. So yeah, we do you know, speak to each other about each other's relationships, and how we can, you know, maintain our boundaries. And she actually recommended a book called Boundaries. I think it's called Boundaries. I'm not sure if there's a bit before that title, but I can give the title to Joanne to put in the description box. But it's an amazing book, and insightful, mind-blowing, just so like, I just understand so much more about boundaries. And I don't know, when I first thought about the book, I just thought it would be very, I don't know, even though my friend sold it to me, like I was like, yeah, I really need to read this book. But I think people, I don't know, how I saw boundaries is just very like one way, like very like, this is my line and I don't do anything apart from that, like over that line. But it's so much deeper to that, in terms of, you know, being able to understand other people's boundaries, why you think the way you think, why you allow people to cross your boundaries. And yeah, it's just, you know, it's just really insightful. So this accountability relationship has, you know, has been really beneficial for me, and it's allowed me to just have that relationship where I can be open in, you know, in this season of like, you know, dating, and specifically for that purpose as well. And I guess it's just up to you to be able to have that wisdom to know that, yeah, I think I need one for this type or this situation. And yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It reminds me of scripture where it says, in the multitude of counselors, there's safety, and he who covers his sin will not prosper. And it's kind of like what you were saying, sis, about, you know, it's easy to kind of hide. It's easy to live your life as an independent body. But when you have people around you, they can shine light. And your own accountability partner introduced you to this book that has been such a blessing to you, and reading it is open your eyes to see more about the topic of boundaries, and that's blessed you in your dating relationship. And so, yeah, I think if you've kind of been struggling about, oh, should I, shouldn't I, it's important to know that being accountable is a key part of life. And I think the truth that it almost exposes in this physical world right now is the fact that we are all accountable to God. Like, God is the ultimate accountability partner. At the end of the day, when we live our lives and we die, we're going to stand face to face with God. We're going to see him, and he watches us. He knows us. And this isn't to bring fear or to bring judgment, but this is just for us to really take responsibility of how we choose to live and how we walk out our faith practically. And living a life of integrity, living a life of obedience will come when we realize, you know what, I'm accountable to God and I don't want to let him down. I want to please him. As much as we're human and we will fall short, and we're going to need to grow, we're going to need to be sanctified, we're going to need to ask for forgiveness. We need to remember that ultimately we're accountable to God. And so the earthly people that God places in our life to help us to mirror that and to learn that are key parts of that understanding, that we're going to see him face to face, and we're going to pray that he's going to say to us, well done, well done, well done, my good and faithful servant. So that's what we're aiming for, isn't it?
Definitely, 100%.
So are there any other scriptures? I think I mentioned a few that came to my mind. Are there any other scriptures that help you in terms of seeking accountability in your life?
Yes. So James 5:16. So that is, therefore confess your sins to each other and pray for each other so that you may be healed. The prayer of a righteous person is powerful and effective.
Amen.
And I think, yeah, just knowing that, you know, that you are encouraged to be open and share, you know, your downfalls, your trials, your sins, things that you are struggling with each other is so encouraging to me, because, you know, it shows in scripture that, you know, you should, as a result, pray for each other, and it will be effective, and it is so powerful, and it's something that we don't need to do by ourselves, or like suffer alone. Like we have people who, you know, who love us and want the best for us as well. And I think that doing this is, you know, showing the importance of accountability too. So another one, 1 Thessalonians 5:11. This one is, therefore encourage one another and build each other up, just as in fact you are doing. So in terms of, just in terms of like, also, you know, accountability is being able to, you know, show and justify your decision makings, and being responsible and taking ownership of, you know, what you committed and said to do. But at the same time, you know, you can still encourage and build each other up, and, you know, support each other. So it doesn't feel like, you know, you're alone, or that it's impossible, or that, you know, this is a huge mountain that I can't overcome. You know, you have someone there to like pray with you and intercede, and like, you know, it's going to be okay. Like, you can do it. Like, you know, God is your strength, and you won't be defeated. And so I think that is also, you know, a really encouraging scripture. And another one, Galatians 6:1-2. So this one is, brothers and sisters, if someone is caught in a sin, you who live by the Spirit should restore that person gently, but watch yourselves, or you also may be tempted. Carry each other's burdens, and in this way you will fulfill the law of Christ. So I think this one is just, saying that, it mentions gently as well. And I think that's important, because it's not about us being, angry and, coming with so much, negativity and making the person feel bad. But you should be able to correct them gently and be compassionate and still show love, but still make sure that they know what they're doing is not pleasing God. And it also shows that you need to reflect on yourself, that and also be aware that you also, to avoid yourself being tempted by, whatever that you're, being exposed to as well. And that could be through another person. But at the same time, help and support each other, carry each other's burdens. And that just shows, literally the point of it saying carry each other's burdens, shows that the support, that if you literally imagine someone, carrying a really heavy suitcase with another person, it shows that they are supporting them, that they are there for them, that they are, praying with them, encouraging them. So it just shows again that it's not something that you need to do alone, and shouldn't be done alone. You should be able to use your godly community around you and your accountability partners and your mentors to support you on that journey. So yeah,
I hope that if you're watching this, there's one of those scriptures that you can really relate to and almost choose to pray on in the coming week, especially if you know that you're struggling in the area of being accountable for the way you're living, or finding yourself in community, or being, present in your relationships or mentoring relationships. I hope that will be a blessing for you. So those are the questions that we had to discuss and talk about. I've not got any more. Is there anything you finally want to share, sis, to the woman about this topic?
Just being able to understand the value of, godly communities. And, godly communities is like the umbrella term of everything that we discussed. So that goes over accountability partners or people who you are accountable for, and also under mentorship as well. I think just being able to remember that that God wants us to be in relationships, that he doesn't want us to be alone, and you don't need to go through anything that you're going through alone. Like, if you just have God and, as well as the community, whether that is a church or whether it's one person or a small group or a mentor or accountability partner, like these are, practical steps and resources and people that you should use as a Christian to just, enable you to go on your walk with support and guidance and wisdom, because we're all walking this same journey with God. And we might be on different paths, but at the end of the day, we're all going in the same direction, and we're all going for the purpose of being like Christ, being one of Christ's disciples, and making disciples as well. So Amen. Just in all, I just really encourage everyone to to seek out godly community. Don't isolate yourself. Don't feel like ashamed or condemned that that no one understands you, that you're not good enough, because you are. These are just lies from the enemy, and you are more than enough. And God created you for a purpose, and just don't think that anything that you've gone through is a reason why people can't connect with you, or you can't connect with God, who is our ultimate relationship that we need to invest in. So yeah, I do really hope that encourages you, and yeah.
Amen. Thank you so much. That was amazing. Thank you for everything you shared. And on that note, please tell us how we can get up to date with you. For the woman watching, she wants to get involved with BSM, or she wants to find out how to do this more on a personal level, how to really walk through life with others. Please tell us about that. And then can you pray for us when you're done? Would love that.
Yes, sure, of course. So yeah, you can reach us, BSM, on Instagram, which is at Big Sister Ministries. And, through that, you're able to see our, everything that we post in terms of our content and our upcoming events. And it also provides you with an email address where you can email us for any inquiries, or, you can DM us. So that would, connect you directly with myself or the community team. And if you're interested in being a mentor or a mentee, which is obviously big or little sister, feel free to contact us. We'd love to have you and get to know you, see what you want, what you need, and also just be part of our community and of like-minded women who are striving to be like Christ, and who have so many different talents and skills that we, are really encouraging to, put into the ministry in some way. So yeah, definitely reach out if you're interested. And yeah, we look forward to speaking with you.
Wonderful.
Yeah. I will pray and commit this session into God's hands moving forward. Heavenly Father, I just give you all the glory. I just give you all the adoration for what you have done through Joanne, through myself, and through our individual ministries and through BSM that we are part of together, Lord. I just thank you for this opportunity to speak about my testimonies and everything that have informed, my purpose and what I do. And I just pray that, through this conversation of body community and mentorship and accountability and anything else that people have drawn from this conversation, that it really encourages all our viewers, Lord. It edifies them, it enlightens them, it allows them to reflect on their own life and to see where there's gaps missing and where you want to be filled in those gaps, Lord. So I just trust that your will be done, Lord. I trust that you will speak to our audience members, that the Holy Spirit reveals to them any areas that they need to pursue and to commit to and to take more seriously in their walk with faith, Lord. And I just pray that everyone that is watching is encouraged that they don't need to do this alone, Lord, that they are not alone, that you are always with us, Lord, in everything that we do, through everything that we go through, every season, Lord, every trial, Lord, every storm, Lord, that you are always with us and that you have designed us for relationships, Lord, and our ultimate relationship with you. So I just pray that if there's anyone out here who's listening, who has lost their relationship with you, that is, been disconnected with you, who feels that they have, drawn so far from you, Lord, and they want to be reconnected and to establish a better relationship with you, Lord, I just pray that they, take those steps to seek you, Lord, and that you will, comfort them and embrace them like we know that you will and that you have promised, Lord, and that even if people who don't know God, that they are able to realize that, the gap that can't be filled by anything else but Christ is the next step that they are going to do and take to be united with you, Lord. So I just thank you for these revelations, and we just commit this video into your hands, and we just pray that your will be done, and whoever watches this is blessed. In Jesus' name we pray with thanksgiving. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, sis. Thank you, Johannah, for joining us. You have been a blessing. You are amazing. And thank you, everyone, for watching this video. If you have made it this far, please do let us know in the comment section. What is one thing you are taking away from this? Hopefully, I will be back very soon with another episode on Candid Conversations. And if you haven't done so already, please do subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next video. Bye. God has given you so much. God has deposited a lot in your heart. So I'm grateful for that. And I'm happy. I mean, I'm going to watch, because I mean, I need to watch it so that I can be edified. properly.
Yeah.
I'm all like, you know, even though I
No, I
make
get
it look
you.
like I'm calm and everything on the surface, deep down I'm like, oh, what's the next question? Oh, what's that
No,
ask?